Hello and welcome to another version of Mr. Smith's Learning Hacks. Today's learning hacks is called a dicey deal. That word dicey is related to the word dice because dice have been considered a long time as a tool of chance. And so we want to spend just a little bit of time talking about the issue of dice today. First of all, if you got two of them, they're called dice. But if you got one, it's called a die, spelled like dying, D-I-E. All right, a die is an example of a polyhedra. Polyhedra is a word that means many faces. Poly means many, and hedron or hedra means face or faces. There's a similar word which you might have used, polygon, but that's for flat surfaces like the square. A square is a polygon, and then in fact it's a regular polygon because it has all of the edges the same. They're equilateral. They're the same length. All the angles are the same length. This part of a square is called a face, and we'll talk about faces on our polyhedron here in just a minute. But anyhow, a square is an example of a regular polygon, and we're going to talk about a cube, which is the example of a regular polyhedron. The plural for the word polyhedron is polyhedra, and as I've already told you, it means many faces. All right. I don't know if you realize or not, but if you add up the numbers on a die, you come up with the number 21. 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 equals 21. All right, now let's talk about the parts of our cube. We already mentioned faces. The number 6 you see here is on a face. The 5 is on a face, the 4, and so on and so forth. But we also have our edges. Like the edges of a square, a polyhedron has edges, but it has a lot more. All right, let's count our edges. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom, and then we have 4 around the outside. So we have 12 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top face, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom face, and as we go around the outside of the die, we have 4 more. So that's 12. All right. Now let's talk about how many faces we have. We have 6 numbers and 6 faces. So 6 faces, 12 edges. Just need to readjust my music there. All right. And now, besides faces and edges, we have vertices. Each one of these points is called a vertex. There's 4 on the top of the die and 4 on the bottom. So that's 8 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. If you take the die and you roll it and you add up the numbers, just roll it this way, you'll get 14. And no matter which way you roll it, you'll always get 14, which is a multiple of 7. All right. I don't know if you realize it or not, but you can roll the dice. There's 8 on this side. I can tell you what's on the back side. All right. 6. Yep. Let's try it again. Oh, I got 7 on this one. That means 7's on the other. Rolling 2 dice, the total of the top and the bottom will always be 14. So the top and the bottom of one die equals 7. That's just another interesting fact about dice. Opposite sides always equal 7 on one die and 14 on 2. All right, and another real quick fact is this regular polyhedron, regular because all of the edges are the same, and all the faces measure the same. So that's why we call it a regular. It's also called a platonic solid, named after Plato. And by the way, you can do the research on this, but there's only 5 platonic solids. One of them is a tetrahedron, and the other is a cube, and then there's 3 more, but you can do the research on that. One of the things that's fun to do is take a piece of paper and try to build your own cube, and you might want to try to get a chance to mess around with that. And finally, one final fact, which I'm not going to give you the answer to, but what do you think the most likely number that will come up if you roll the dice 1,000 times or 100 times? I suggest you get you a pair of dice, and I suggest you get you a piece of paper and write the numbers 2 through 12 down and roll those things. And every time you get a 6, put a hash mark beside the 6. Every time you get a 9, put a hash mark beside the 9. Every time you get a 7, and so on and so forth. Roll it 100 times. See which one you come up the most with. And then repeat your experiment a little bit later on. And then repeat your experiment again and do all the totals. That's a little bit of the scientific method for you. Make a prediction. Try to figure out which one will come up the most and see what your test results come up with. So I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of facts. By the way, there is a such thing as National Dice Day. I don't know when it is, but maybe when it comes around you can watch this video and have a dice party. This has been Mr. Smith's Learning Hacks. The name of our lesson today was a dicey deal. And that word dicey, of course, means kind of questionable, a little bit of a gamble, and you don't want to get yourself caught in too many dicey situations. Thank you.